Hey there YouTubers. Alright, so in this video we're going to look at the Asus Prime H610m-E D4 motherboard for the final time. We've done a lot of gaming videos with it, we've done benchmark videos, and we have done an unboxing video. This is potentially the last time you'll see it on the channel. You know, as the title says, D4, this only supports DDR4 RAM, so if you want a DDR5, you know, you're looking to spend a lot more on a motherboard, right? This also does not have PCIe 5.0, so it's not, you know, for the future, the ideal motherboard. Most likely this will support LGA 1800, so 13th gen in the future, so at least there is that ability to upgrade in the future. Now CPU wise, right now we've got an i3-12100F in here. This is really a good CPU for this. Future Pentiums and the Celerons that are going to come out, just as good for a motherboard like this. Even the i5-12400, the 12500, 12600 would probably be good in here. I would not put a 12600K in here. I would not put any of the i7s or i9s in here, okay? You're losing too much performance using a motherboard like this. Now, what does this not have that's going to aid performance? Well, power limit adjustability is not there, okay? It's I have to remember which motherboard. One of the cheap motherboards I bought, it's either limited or it doesn't have it, okay? So that's a huge negative for power limits if you go with the bigger CPU like the i7, i9. Does not have base clock frequency adjustment. That's another way to get a little bit more out of either a locked CPU or an unlocked one. So that's a negative. Obviously you can't overclock on this motherboard. Only the Z690 will allow overclocking of CPUs. So in the end, folks, this motherboard's pretty weak. But if you want all those features I just talked about, you're probably going to have to spend $180 up to you know, $229 at a minimum, okay? And beyond that, if you want to be able to do everything. So RAM, we already said DDR4 only. DDR5, obviously very expensive. Folks like myself can't afford it. I don't know, you know, how many people out there can afford DDR5, but not going to happen with this motherboard. You see, we have 2 RAM slots. Where does this matter? Well, folks that are going to have to buy RAM, not a big deal. If you're looking for, you know, 16 gigs of RAM, you can buy 2 8 gig sticks, right? If you want to buy, if you want 32 gigs, you're going to buy 2 16 gigs. If you've already got, you know, a bunch of 8 gig sticks of 3200 megahertz RAM, then, you know, you might not want to get this motherboard because it's going to cost you more money to replace that RAM that you have to get new RAM for your motherboard, right? So that's a big negative. So the max speed for RAM in this should be 3200 megahertz, as we've demonstrated in one of our videos for this CPU. In the past, you know, Intel's made it rather confusing with different motherboards, making it based on the CPU. So something like an i7, i9 might have ran faster RAM speeds than the i5s, and depending on the generation of the motherboard, or excuse me, of the CPU, it may run faster. So in this case, it does appear all of the CPUs, the most you could run RAM at is 3200 megahertz. Now my RAM is this is actually 3600 megahertz. It will not run any higher than 3200 megahertz. You try and punch in whatever it is, 3300, 33, whatever the next one up is, and it does not do it, right? It'll boot to a black screen. So then you either have to, you know, keep trying to reboot it or pull the CMOS battery. So there you go, folks. As far as RAM goes, DDR4, only 2 slots, dual channel, up to 3200 megahertz is as good as it's going to get. Let's talk PCIe slots. PCIe 4.0, great for RTX 3000. When RTX 4000 or new AMD comes out and it's PCIe 5.0, you're not going to get everything out of it. That's life. Now this is RTX 3080 Ti. You can see that it takes up at least 3 slots on a case, and if you wanted something this massive, it's going to be somewhat of a problem because you really will have issues being able to use this additional PCIe 1-inch slot. So this guy will, that'll be a problem if you want to have a Wi-Fi card in there, because it's going to probably brush up against your fan and be a problem, or it is going to limit the amount of cool air that gets in there. So not ideal for that. This would be better for somebody that's got a graphics card, obviously, that's 2 slots. And folks, yeah, I know an i3-12100F and this guy are not ideal. We do a lot of different gaming videos on here just to show you guys that. But I wanted, you know, for the time being, at least put a large graphics card in here so you could see how it works. If you have a lot of hard drives, you've only got the ability to add 4 of those. Okay, so that might suck for some of you. For me, doesn't matter. I'm a solid state guy. Does have USB 3.0, so that's good. It'll work with most of your newer cases, obviously, that have USB 3.0 on at the front. Okay, M.2s. I believe this one has 2 slots, which you can see the second one there. Yeah. If you needed 3 slots, you know, this is not the motherboard for you, right? But it is pretty nice that this one does have 2. In the past, one of these H410s, H510s might have only had 1. Let's talk the I/O shield. Does have the crappy, you know, I/O shield made of aluminum that yours truly hates. There it is. Here's what's in the box, in case you can see the unboxing. Driver disc, SATA cable, manual, some standoffs and screws. Okay. Back to this. This has a lot of older stuff in it that most people don't use. I know somebody will probably comment, "Oh, I still use that stuff," but hey, I haven't used that guy in forever. Okay, I do use DisplayPort and HDMI, but since this is a 12100F, obviously you can't use it, right? You have to have a CPU that does not end with an F or have an F in the title. Limited USBs on here. You've got 2 2.0s that you can see there, 2 3.0s, which I have something plugged into. And then for your audio connectors, very limited there. Only the line out headphone and microphone. So if you needed something like this guy, which has a few more connectors, or maybe you needed fiber optic, this is not going to get it done for you. Obviously, this does not have Wi-Fi in it. I'm not sure you'd find an H610 out there that does have Wi-Fi, but you know, that's why these kind of slots, having more of those, might become important to you. Or you may find that it's worth spending the extra money just to get Wi-Fi built into the motherboard. So CPU power connectors, only a 1x8. Does this matter for most CPUs? No, as we found on the channel, until you get to the i7-99 range, or you have a unlocked processor, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's adequate. In the past, on the H310M, there was only 1x4. And that actually, you know, for a lot of CPUs works just fine from older generations. Now, the 12th gen, another story, right? So there you go, folks. That's pretty much my thoughts. You could call it a review, whatever you want, but not particularly impressed with this motherboard, as I haven't been impressed with the H510M, H410M, or the H310M. Now, just because I say that doesn't mean this isn't the motherboard for you. You may find the simplicity of this motherboard is right up your alley, plus the price. That is a big, you know, awesomeness, right? Considering how expensive everything's gotten with inflation and everything, this is, you know, a way to get in 12th gen cheap. Maybe later you upgrade and get something better. But thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.